So I was laughing last night. We taught Delaney how to drive a stick yesterday. So I was going to send you the video and say, I hope she doesn't burn out the clutch before you get here. But she did a really good job. So she totally learned how to drive a stick yesterday. So she drove yesterday morning with Mike, and then I took her out late last night during the thunderstorm, and she did such a great job.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. We just have to work on the whole going up an incline thing.
Oh, well, hey, I still got to work on that.
Yeah, same. Yeah. But she did really good. We didn't do reverse yet because that's a whole issue in its own, but she did a really good job. So that's
cool. And the Mini held up, huh?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. She didn't kill it, she killed it just like a couple times, but I remember when I was learning to drive a manual, oh my God, I think for 3 hours, I just killed the car like 900 times. I mean, literally, I could not figure it out. But we kept telling her, it's just one of those things, like once you get it, you just get it.
Yeah.
But she did a phenomenal job, so.
Well, cool.
I don't think she's ready to drive the Challenger, but... But she, I'm sure now every night she'll be like, can you just open with me? It was fun. I'm going to call today and schedule it for its wheels to get powder coated.
Cool, I just sending a message to everybody so far.
Cool. Good morning, Josh. Man, you guys killed it at your training the other day.
Yep. Hey Kyle, FYI, I found an Airbnb. I found a small 2-bedroom house.
Oh, you did?
Yep, for like $150 a night.
So
I need to send everybody a message letting them know they're going to want to look into Airbnbs.
Yeah.
I cannot figure out why in the world Boise thinks a hotel room should be $350 a night.
It's just Father's Day weekend, I guess, but...
Well, the other thing I was thinking about, there's that big Father's Day car show down there, and specifically the home to suites, like it's right at that. So I don't know if,
Yeah, but like I said, I even checked the hotels in Eagle, and they were the same.
That's so crazy. I mean, that's just so nuts. I feel like that's more than a hotel room in Vegas, isn't it?
Yep.
Well, maybe the price of everything is just officially gone up.
I don't know. That's just crazy. I mean, who could pay $350 a night?
I think it's just costing.
And then what's crazy is there's still plenty of Airbnbs and they're reasonable. So I guess everybody needs to jump on them before they realize that the hotels are outrageous, huh?
There you go.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
I love that it's actually light outside instead of dark now.
Yeah,
When we log in,
nice.
it makes it feel a little bit better, right?
Yeah, driving over here from the gym this morning, the sun was in my face. I'm like, wow, this doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Well,
all right. Well, let's get started. What should we start with?
Well, just say hi to some people. Hey, Josh. Good morning. Looks like we're getting
Josh
some
had a
on.
killer training last week. That was so awesome.
Yeah,
out there in Iowa City.
Nice. It looked like
great. So cool. So cool. Good morning, Samantha.
I'm just sharing this right now on my
I like
Facebook.
that. Steven says, let's have a beading Monday.
A beading Monday.
Beading Monday.
Beading water.
Beading bead makers. So Terry Foreman's here. He's got his coffee ready. That's awesome. Cool. Awesome. Cool.
Well, Sydney, at this point, in the beginning of every bead maker and coffee, we always get into our details.
Yeah.
What we've done last week.
The last couple weeks are still a blur. So for those of you that follow me on social media, you've known that in Boise here, we've had some insane weather. It's been 3 weeks of just complete unpredictability, I think. Normally the weather never bothers me ever. I've not really ever had any challenges with it, except for in 2016. But the last 3 weeks has just been totally unpredictable. So if you kind of know what's happening and what's coming, you can kind of, work around it, schedule around it, whatnot. But it's been April and May, right? And so we should have had 70 degrees and sunny. And so I normally do all of my boat projects in May. So that's what I try to schedule. So anything big outside that doesn't fit in the shop, I try to schedule for May. So I had a boat that was scheduled. Actually, we booked it last September. So it's been on the schedule for a long time. And the Monday prior to last Monday, so the last day we did Bead Maker and Coffee, I was actually supposed to do the boat. I can't remember if the cat is trying to take over. I can't remember if I mentioned that on the last Bead Maker and Coffee, that it was super rainy here that morning and I had to reschedule the boat till the following Monday, which was last Monday. So so the boat got dropped off on Sunday night. No problem. The weather app said, it could snow tonight. And if it does, it will only be over, under a half an inch. So I was like, okay, we can deal with that. No problem. So we wake up to about but at this point it was about 2.5 inches of snow at 7 a.m. last Monday. We had about 2.5 inches of snow. So I was like, well, this is not good. But then it was blizzarding. And until 11 a.m. that morning, we got 7 inches of snow in Boise. And it was May 12th or whatever day it was. I thought I was going to scream. So anyway, so I had this boat covered in 7 inches of snow. No way to move it, nowhere to put it. And so it sat and it just threw off my whole week. But anyway, long story short. So once the 7 inches of snow melted and all the ice around it melted, then I was actually able to get detailing it. And so then it kind of was fun. So, cleaned it all up with, the Babes line. But then what was really cool was, so it was just in for a regular detail. It was the first time I'd seen the boat. So generally the first time I do them, I just kind of do a detail. And then we talk about maybe in the future, what might be the best course of action to care for the boat. Because as you know, Kyle, you can get into a lot of unknowns and it's kind of hard for me to adjust on the fly like that. So generally we just kind of do a cleanup and assess. But this boat was black. Half of it was black. The rest was kind of a shiny, glitter. And the black was pretty beat up from the docks and things. There was lots of paint transfer, lots of marks, lots of rubber transfer. So that had to be all cleaned up. And then it was black and it was just kind of faded, not super oxidized, just kind of faded. So since this customer had been so patient with the weather and, all the craziness, I thought, you know what, I'm going to try to clean this up, pretty easy, pretty fast. And so I grabbed my bottle of Kyle's Boat and RV Restorer, which I totally love. I don't get to use it a ton. So when I do, I just love it. And I'm always so shocked by the results. So I just buzzed over this boat. I probably didn't spend, I don't know, maybe an hour and a half on it. Just running across the whole thing with a polisher with Kyle's. It brightened up the black. It literally made it perfect. It didn't remove, some of the deep scratches, but it literally made it, 4 shades darker black. It got all the marks out of where I needed to get all the transfers off and stuff. And it just brightened everything up, made it super shiny, and it looked great. And so that is my favorite product from the last couple of weeks, just because it kind of got me, I was in a jam. I was hating the boat. I was, it was rough. And so it was kind of fun to just use a product that you got such amazing instant results from. And the customer was just beyond thrilled. And so then when the customer came, he goes, okay, I've had this boat detailed a lot. He said, you have to tell me what you used on it. And he thought I spent hours and hours and hours on it. So that was kind of cool. So I love that product. I know you do too, obviously. So we don't have to ask you how you feel about it, but I just wanted to talk about that because I love it. I just think that it's one of those products that every time I've used it, it's been because I've needed it to get me out of a jam. whether it's been on single stage paint or boats or RVs. I just think it's so great. It's so great.
You just got to shake it really, really well
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
And it does an amazing job. We did a
Yeah.
boat last week and finished it off with Kyle's and then topped it with Bead Maker, and it came out beautiful. Well, you know, a couple weeks ago, you also had bad weather with that Dodge ProMaster,
Yeah.
where it kept raining on you the whole time.
Yeah.
I remember that story. And one thing you did on that kind of inspired me to get on this other RV. I ended up selling the customer on polishing all the windows on this 21-year-old Prevo. So it's a 45-foot bus with 2 slide outs, and all the windows, I think there was 26 or 27 windows if you counted them all, each panel, including the front windows, but then the windows on the slide outs, in the slide outs, on the sides. And Clarity Cream killed it once again. It did great for me on that RV. It's just something that stood out in the last, few weeks, a job that I finished. We actually finished it probably like that day of our last Bead Maker and coffee. And it amazes me every time I use it. And there's never really, I look at glass, and if it's etched in, it's etched in, but at least Clarity Cream is going to get everything out that it possibly can. Unless the water spots have already set into the surface. So my story is Clarity Cream saved the day, and I started using it more often. I probably need to order a big old bottle of it because I'm going through bottles really fast.
Me too. I feel like a bottle used to last me almost a year because, you don't really use that much. And I've used a half a bottle in the last 2 weeks. I had that big F350 that I had to use it on. And then I've been doing a lot of coatings. And so, of course, I do all, 6 windows when I'm doing coatings. And I've been going through it like mad. It's been crazy.
I'm just trying to find ways to use it because I love how the glass looks, at the end. It's just so, I don't know, deep, clear, no haze. It's almost like the glass doesn't exist after you polish it.
Yeah.
Where when you don't, you're just cleaning hazy glass,
Yeah.
So it came in and did a great job for me. So I need to pick up some more Clarity Cream.
Cool. I love it on chrome too. I use it a lot on Ford F-150s, the steps.
Yeah.
And they have the plastic, in between all of them. I really don't like those Ford steps, but it works great on those. Just to clean them up real fast by hand, it really makes a huge difference. So I use it on that a lot. Love that.
Yeah, the abrasive in it will kind of release those calcium deposits and stuff on real chrome. And
I love it.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a try. I've used it on a chrome bumper, but never on the side steps.
Yeah, I use it on the side steps all the time, and mainly just because really, I feel like Clarity Cream does not stain plastic if you get it off fast enough, before it fully dries. So I do it by hand, just with either a little pad or even just a towel, and I, put it on there, scrub it, and then I immediately wipe it off, and it never stains those little, plastic pieces. And so I love that. It works so good, so good.
So we've had a lot of questions on social media, on our Instagram lately about trainings. People keep asking about trainings, and especially because we've had a lot of them going on lately. So let's talk about what's going on at Hayward real quick, and our other trainings that PNS is involved in, and give people a heads up. It looks like Keith Duplessis out in Long Island visiting with one of our distributors at B Squared Distributing. So
he is. So we've got Keith in Long Island, and then Chris, where is Prentice at today? Is he in Hayward?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So Prentice is starting distributing in Hayward today. I couldn't remember if this was one of his traveling ones. I know he was in Iowa last week, but I couldn't remember. I knew he was starting a training today. So that's awesome. So Prentice is training in Hayward today. So on June 24th, Auto Geek is coming to PNS headquarters. So this is going to be so awesome. You've probably seen a little bit about it on social media. You'll start seeing more. We do have some spots left. This is going to be such a great training. I'm so excited about it. So June 23rd and 24th in Hayward at PNS HQ is the Auto Geek, and it's kind of a one-day extreme type format. So, but you get as instructors from Auto Geek, Justin Lobato and Robin Sweet, and then from PNS, Rennie Doyle and myself. So the four of us are going to be teaching together. That's going to be so fun, so crazy. So I'm super looking forward to that. So just kind of one day extreme type format. So we'll kind of go through everything. So that's where you hit, everything with the whole car. And so Justin, I think, is doing the format for us on that, but it's going to be awesome. And then, of course, Bob Phillips going to be there and the whole crew at PNS. So that is going to be such a great class. I definitely recommend you checking that out if you can get to Hayward. And then also the night before on Thursday, the 23rd, there is an open house. And I can't remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember if they're calling it like an open garage, open house at PNS. And that's going to be really great. And that's just, where the whole, warehouse is open to see. So really cool to see how everything works and goes. And it has such a special vibe there at the HQ. So I love going there. I'm super looking forward to that class. So check that out. We will be information over the next couple of weeks, but get registered if you'd like, because we do just have a few spots left, and that is going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool that, the whole Auto Geek crew is coming across country to do an event at PNS.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see how that goes for you guys and your Friday event. I'll be here sharing everything you guys post up.
Yep. And then, so that's going to be exciting. And then early in June, though, so let's skip back to the beginning of June. We do have a lot going on as well. We are dividing and conquering the first week of June. So we have Bob Phillips and Rennie Doyle are heading to Waxstock. And that is, Chris, do you have the dates? It's like that first weekend of June. Like the 3rd, 4th.
Same weekend as STC.
Okay. Yeah. So 3rd, 4th, 5th, right in there. So they are heading to Waxstock. So we'll get to see a lot of their adventures, and that's going to be really fun for them. I believe it's the first time both of them will attend Waxstock, so it should be a good time. Really fun. And then that same weekend, Keith Duplessis, Kyle, and myself are heading to the Southern Detailers Conference in Lexington, Kentucky. And so we'll have lots of stuff coming out of there too. So that's going to be a really busy weekend, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. And then what are we doing at SDC? We've got some classes going on, right, Kyle? What are we doing at SDC?
So I believe we're going to be doing some classes on ceramic coatings and kind of diving into being profitable with coatings with our line of products. I think Sydney's going to be talking about glass polishing and view, something that she's very passionate about. And Keith and I and Sydney are all just going to go through the line and talk about actually making money using our product line and our tips and tricks to getting things done quickly and being efficient with your time. So we only have an hour for each class. So we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about in a very short amount of time. But after the class, people are going to be welcome to come to the booth, and we'll talk at the booth and discuss those things.
Yeah. So make sure if any of you guys that are watching this are heading to SDC, make sure you stop by. We will have our Bead Maker Lounge, which is super awesome. So we have couches and things in our booth, and plenty of Bead Maker orange to go around. So make sure you stop by.
Bead Maker Lounge is awesome. There was a discussion that we did have about a Mudbuster Lounge, but Bead Maker Lounge won.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking, but that'd be cool.
Mudbuster Lounge. Yeah. So make sure you stop by the Bead Maker Lounge if you are at Southern Detailers Conference, and that will be awesome. So those are kind of the June projects. We'll wait to stop.
Nope, there's still one more. We got to talk about Father's Day weekend in Boise, Idaho.
Oh my gosh, don't remind me. That means I have like 5 weeks.
Yep.
So, also then on June 18th, we have Cruise in Hidden Springs here in Boise, which is my car show that I've done. I think this is year number 8 or 9, I can't remember. And so that is Father's Day weekend. We have a bunch of detailers coming to join us for the show. So I'm really looking forward to that. Chris will be there, Kyle will be there, Keith, some others. So that will be really fun. You'll see lots of, shots and stuff from that. But that is kind of our kickoff weekend for our Pike Park and Shine program. So that'll be nice. So we've got a lot planned for that weekend, and I'm looking forward to it. But it does mean I am on major countdown now for that.
Yeah. Yep. There's a lot happening in June, and it's just going to get crazier and crazier. So stay tuned with us. Looks like Keith is doing a class tomorrow, he said, at 1 p.m. at our distributor there in Long Island, New York. So if you're nearby, give them a call. It's called B Squared Distributing, and see what's going on there. So let's get into questions, because we got a lot to talk about and
Yeah.
not a lot of time.
Cool.
All right.
All right. So Terry, is PNS going to have or working on an in-depth paint correction training? It's been part of the discussion during our, we have an annual kind of planning session, if you will, and it's always kind of at the top. We definitely want to do it. We just haven't quite figured out the logistics, but it's always on the list to try to figure that out for sure.
I think our feeling about that is we want it to correspond when we bring out some new technology with our products, and we're trying to get that taken care of. So that's the best way I can put it. But we definitely want to take care of it, but we've been working on some things on the backside that would help us with correction training.
Yeah. So our most in-depth correction training right now would obviously be going to Rennie's 5-day in Big Bear. That is probably where you spend the most amount of time. And he goes through all the different pads, all the different products. And so I would say currently, the most in-depth is probably the Big Bear training with Rennie.
And you get a variation of products and pads.
Yeah.
Where if we do one at PNS, it's going to be our pad system and our products, which is great. But Rennie's at the moment is the one that we'd both recommend for a really well-rounded training.
Yep.
Good question. Thank you, Terry.
All right. Hans says, Sydney, did you try Pit Stop as a vacuum aid yet? I have not. I need to do that. I have not done that. I need to do that. I have been using Pit Stop a lot though, just on kind of, cleanup, and I used it the other day to see my daughter's car was just parked in my shop and it was really dirty. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try this out, kind of the waterless washabilities of it. So I sprayed it on the back of her car real quick and wiped it off. Actually did a phenomenal job.
It feels very wet, huh? Like it's,
yeah.
Like it just kind of fluffs everything up. It's nice.
Yeah.
I had a customer the other day stop by for a consultation on a GT350 that's being delivered tonight for detailing or correction and coating. And it had bird poop on the roof. And I just hit it with Pit Stop and it just like broke apart. Like I thought it was going to take forever, and the bird poop looked really dry. And I was super happy with the lubricity of it. I mean, even more than paint gloss, because it just felt wetter.
Yeah.
Now there was more wiping to do, but it felt like it didn't evaporate as fast, and I liked it. It was pretty nice.
Yeah.
And the customer was super stoked. He said, "Can I get some of that?" I said, "Yeah, I'll sell you a bottle of it when we're done."
Yeah.
Leave it in your car. So
yeah, it worked really good. So yeah, I have not used it on as a vacuum aid yet though, but I'll give that a shot. I'll try it. I just keep forgetting. Good. All right, Sydney, for the boat, which pad did you use? So I started with the wool pads. They get gummed up pretty fast, at least on this boat they did. The Kyle's kind of, turned kind of gummy in the wool pad. So then I ended up switching to the Buff and Shine maroon pad, and
Mm.
that did a great job. Really, really awesome. So I was able to, I think I ended up only using 4 or 5 to complete the boat. So I switched them out, fairly often, but, yeah, the maroon pad did a great job. So some boats I've used the wool pad and it's been fine, but I think when there obviously was oxidation, it just didn't look terrible. But when there's oxidation, the wool pads, they tend to gum up pretty fast. So,
Yeah, this is why having lots of pad options is really
mhm,
important,
yeah.
and having a lot of pads is important. Um, I've shown people before how many pads I take when I go do an RV, and they think I'm crazy. But you do want to switch out pads often,
Mhm.
and they'll last forever. As long as you take good care of your pads. So, um, yeah, have maroons, have blues, have yellows, have lamb's wool, and
Yeah.
you have great options. Always do your test spot.
Yep, yep. So would switching pads more often help save on product? Um, I don't know that I would say it's gonna help save on product, but what it will do is save time because you're actually gonna be doing something. If you're using a loaded up pad, you're just kind of turning it on, on the surface. It's not really doing much. So it saves time and it gives a better result. If I had to guess, I think you're probably using about the same amount of product,
Yeah, I was
honestly.
gonna say the same
Um,
thing.
yeah, so I don't think it saves on product, but it definitely saves on time and makes your job much more consistent,
The
because
only
as the
difference is
pad
the
becomes
pad
full of
won't be.
product and, whatever it's taking off the surface, oxidation or clear coat, whatever you have, that pad is getting loaded up and then its cutting ability is diminished. So the longer you use that pad, the less work you're actually doing. So, for me, I've always felt like it was good to have, you know, multiple pads of each color so that you can complete the job and have a really good even result.
Yeah, depending on the product, you may
Mhm.
need to prime the pad with like a mist of paint gloss,
Yeah.
and that would help and keep it about the same usage. But I
Mhm.
can see how using a brand new dry pad, you still got to kind of prime it a little.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be that much difference of product
Mhm.
usage. You definitely will prolong the life of your pads, which
Mhm.
I think will make up in value there,
Mhm.
significantly if you don't destroy pads.
Yeah. And like what I notice on this boat, and especially this is just kind of one of those things when if we're talking about Kyle's boat and RV restorer specifically, is like this boat was so dry and faded that I mean it sucked the product up faster than the pad could have ever thought of sucking it up. So I mean I did go through a pretty good amount of product, but it's because the gel coat was really sucking up the product far more than the pad was. So I think just especially in situations like that, it's really hard to, gauge your usage. I just know I used a lot because the gel coat needed it. So, all right, next one up, we have Abraham. This is a good question. If you both can remember back to when you first started detailing, how did you go from used dirty cars to coatings and larger ticket detailing? Do you remember when you made that switch, Kyle?
Um,
What year did you start doing coatings?
so I started doing coatings in 2011. Yeah, I started back, so 10 years ago, almost, yeah, 9, 10 years ago, 2012, 11 is when I
Mhm.
started doing some coatings. Um, what it is you kind of end up firing those kind of customers. And when you raise your prices up, you stop doing the dirty, dirty cars.
Mhm.
Usually the people with the thrashed cars, not always, but are the ones who probably can't afford your services anyways when you bring it up. Now there are exceptions for, large vans and soccer mom vehicles and those things. Um, but when I raised my prices and standards, it usually raised the quality of the vehicles up. So I
Mhm.
wasn't doing those used dirty cars. Um, and I was talking about coatings to everyone. Back when people thought coatings were, snake oil, I coated obviously I ceramic coated my truck, So whenever I would do an appointment and I do my walk around with a customer, I'd want to upgrade them to a coating, even a basic coating. So I'd go over to my truck and be like, hey, check this out. And I pour water on my hood and watch water just shoot right off. And they were like, oh, that's cool. And then they'd tell their friends. And now it's to the point where I get calls every day, people wanting ceramic coatings. In the past, I mean, I kind of feel like the OG detailers kind of set everyone up for success on coatings. We did the the legwork, you know, and educating and talking to everyone. Now people still don't know what coatings are. They still don't understand them, but
Right.
they understand that they want one.
Yeah.
That because their friends told them that, or they've seen that, or they've heard that now. Now it's our job to educate them on what, you know, what's best for them, and then get those bigger ticket items.
Mhm.
So yeah, it talk to
Mhm.
everyone about it and stop washing cars and
Yeah.
just be a detailer. Stop washing
Yeah.
cars.
Yeah. And for
Uh,
me, I think that I was probably 4 years into my detail business when I kinda made this switch, and I do think I was a little bit slower because I'm sure, you know, a lot of you have heard my story, and I kind of had a slower start getting, just with, you know, with people in the industry. And so but what I felt like was the major shift in my business was around 2017, you know, towards 2018. You know, my customers had been with me for a couple years at that point, and I really focus on the education and customer retention. So at this point, you know, I had had a lot of customers that had been coming to me for 3, 4 years at this point, and a lot of them were buying new vehicles. And so they were so used to being educated on, you know, preservation and protection and things like that, that, you know, it just kind of naturally rolled into, you know, they would be getting new vehicles and it was like, what's the best protection? And then this was also the time that dealerships really started pushing dealership coatings as well. So, you know, they started to hear those words. And so, you know, a lot of them would call me and say, you know, what's the best protection for my new vehicle? And so I just felt like that was kind of the time when a lot of my customers, you know, were switching vehicles or whatnot, or just realizing they were going to keep the ones that they had. So it was kind of a natural evolution for me. And I have to give credit to just the effort that I put in on education with my customers. That's when it really started to pay back. Like all those years of trying to explain to them why they had holes in their paint, why they had holes in their running boards, and things like that. You know, why things were swirled. So that just kind of set the groundwork for me when I did start doing coatings. It gave me a platform to talk about coatings and why they needed it. And, you know, quite honestly, it was a pretty easy sell, if that's what we want to call it. It was a pretty easy service to offer, and most wanted it. And so it was kind of easy. I did start with coatings. I started with kind of I was very afraid, I'll be honest. I mean, I thought there is no way people are going to spend $500 for a coating. There's no way they're going to spend 1,000. I mean, I was one of those like, no way, it's never going to happen. And so then, you know, I set really low standards and really low goals for myself on coatings. And it was crazy. Once I started offering, it was just, you know, everybody wanted one. So I did start out with a lighter coating. I wish that I would have jumped all the way in right at the beginning. But it was good to learn that way. And then honestly, like a year, 2 years later, I had all those cars coming back needing another coating. So it worked out. But yeah, I think that, like Kyle said too, stop washing cars. Like that was the biggest thing for me too. Once I stopped offering just regular car washes, because for me, when I would do a car wash, I would half detail their car.
yeah,
So I was literally
there's
doing
nowhere to
half
stop.
details for $25. So as soon as I stopped doing that, it leveled up my business for sure.
Now, if you are the type of person or you have the type of business where you can make your hourly rate
Mhm.
and wash a car, you
Yeah.
know, being mobile, if you can make $125 to wash a
Mhm.
car,
Yeah.
keep doing it.
Yeah.
But don't be doing that
Mhm.
$50 wash stuff. Even then, you're not making money because it takes to do a wash right, even with
Yes.
all the spot free water and
Mhm.
tools and it still by yourself takes 45 minutes to wash a car, and that's pretty fast to do a good solid wash. Well, then you got to figure it out. And I got to say to Abraham, who's detailing a dirty Prius right now, we've all made those mistakes, Abraham.
Yeah.
We've all done dirty Priuses.
Yeah. And another, because I saw that he was working on a Prius, and that makes me laugh, because when another kind of shift happened in my business is when I classified the Priuses in the same fee as a minivan.
Yes.
I mean, legit, I have never seen a car that is as gross and takes as long as Priuses as most minivans. So
I
as
don't
soon
know
as I
what it
started
is
seeing
about
when
them.
they'd call in, I'd say, "Oh, it's, the same price as a minivan." My business shifted. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I've had people before when I've told them how much to do their interior, I'm like, hey, it's kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying not to be rude, but I'm also
Right.
like, you have to realize I don't wave a magic wand and turn this
Right.
back into new.
Yeah.
There's layers of filth that we need
Mhm.
to remove with multiple processes.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can go to the car wash, you can let them wipe down the interior, suck your carpets with some water, and let them put shine all over that dirty plastic.
Mhm.
Or we can completely strip all of the soil, dirt, grime, oils from the door panels, the cup holders, the steering wheel. All that will be completely removed. Then we would protect the plastics or shine them.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why they're way cheaper,
Mhm.
and it's not because they're doing quality work, they're doing quantity work, and that's what you're paying for, not just discounting what the car wash does. It's what they do.
Yeah.
But it's different, at least the one in my area that's I constantly get these questions about.
Yeah.
So
Also consider your equipment investment also to do good interiors. It's a lot. It's a lot. All the brushes and the vacuums and the extractors and the air compressors and, the scrub mitts. I
and
mean,
the
there's
insurance and the tires and the fuel and the
so
website.
much. So much goes to interiors that, yeah, make sure those should be, it's a lot dirtier job than doing the
I
outside.
do know that there's detailers that don't do interiors very often,
Mhm.
but when they do, I mean, they're making hundreds of dollars an hour.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, and because it's an opportunity cost, you can do other things and make more money. Why would you do those? The
Mhm.
only way you justify that is to keep your customers happy.
Yep.
I recently heard of a local detailer here near me that is offering mobile car washing, and this guy's a good detailer, and they're doing it for $50 per car.
Mhm.
He told me it literally is a loss leader. He makes
Mhm.
no money off of
Right.
it at all. It actually may cost him money, but
Mhm.
he does it to maintain the customer's vehicles that they've already coded.
Mhm.
And you can't get that service unless he is already done either clear bra or coatings to on your vehicle. Sounds great to me, except you have two employees out there running around in a van washing customers' cars. Um, if one of those guys doesn't show up,
Mhm.
guess what? You're the one covering that day.
Yeah.
So the risk to me is just not good enough. I
Yeah.
just don't want to wash cars
Yeah.
unless I'm going to be protecting them.
Mhm. Yep.
Nice. Okay, Abraham, you're looking at steamers. There's lots of good steamers on the market.
Mhm.
I got a new question for you guys up on the screen.
Yeah.
I can't
It's
read.
okay.
What is the starting price for a coating, and which product is in that price point? So that's kind of a loaded question, a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll talk about our coatings because is a huge price range, and we'll say in the United States, it can vary in some areas. Where in my area, which is a nice area, it's not terrible, but there are coatings out there. where people start around $3.99. That would probably be something like our Soul. I know guys in Orange County that are charging $7.50 for our Soul. That's a big price jump for the same exact product. I don't know what their service includes, if that means they're polishing it or they're just claying it, paint prepping it, and applying it. But those are the prices I've seen. You have the value. Is that Bristol?
No, it's the dog this time.
Oh, Piper. Oh,
she's trying to get on
So,
camera, but she's not tall enough.
From there, you have a value system. You have 1 year of Soul. You have 3 to 5 years. Piper. of inspiration, and then you have our 5 year of legend. Where do you want your prices to fit, and what coating do you want to sell the most? If you want to sell a lot of inspiration, which I do, I try and make it my value coating, where it's like, hey, we could do that every couple of years for you. I want to see back more often, and $800 to $1,100 in that range, depending on the size of the car, it's pretty fair for me, just for a basic prep and coat. Legend being a premium coating. On the low end, low end, $1,200. I have one coming in tomorrow. It's at $1,600. So you have value from there. The other thing is, below your coating, where's your wash, clay, and bead maker at? Because if wash, clay, and bead maker is a 2 to 3 month protection, I like to tell people, hey, I'll see you in 2 months. You just spend $175 with me every 2 months, or would you rather spend $500 with me once a year? And we'll put Soul on. Oh, the better value is actually doing Soul. Let's do Soul instead. Soul takes the same amount of time as it does to do bead maker. So you have to determine the value and price point for your market, figure out what other people are charging, kind of figure out what products they're using that have the same projected longevity, and make those decisions for your business. How much it costs you, how much your labor is, what can you afford to do, how low can you do it, or how high can you do it? What do you want to be? The low end guy that's hustling like crazy, or the high end guy that gets to take their time and be an artist? Figure that out. What do you think, Sydney?
Yeah, kind of the same. I mean, I have, the 3 options. I do like, for sure, the wash clay Soul. That's a great, starting point. And then, I offer both inspiration and legend, same kind of thing. Just, what's their initial investment and, time that they want it to last. And, I love both those coatings, and kind of the same. I mean, I feel like, every area is different. I will say that my inspiration coating package, and for those of you that follow our newsletter, I forgot to mention this earlier. There's a great write-up on View glass coating. So if you haven't read this week's newsletter, make sure you go back and do that. Because I talk about specifically that I do packages. I don't itemize out my coating stuff, because I just find that, if they can pick and choose all the different things, it makes it a little bit more difficult. So my business model, I just have packages. So, the windshield coating is included in all of my packages, and I just price that in there. So my inspiration package starts at about 1,100, and then my legend package starts about 1,500, depending on car vehicle size, and but that's just where it starts. So then, depending on what paint expectations, or if there's any sanding involved, or extra steps of correction, or anything like that, then there would be an additional charge. And I just list that under paint correction. That's actually not part of the coating. So I just have my coating package that includes 1 step of paint enhancement, and then if there's actual correction, compounding and polishing, then that falls under paint correction, and it's a different fee. So I have found, for me, that's the easiest way for my customers to understand the packages and what's included. And um, so that works out really well for me. I just start the package there. And then obviously if somebody comes in with, a Ram 3500, my starting point's a little bit different than, kind of the average car. So it just depends on how much, how big the vehicle is. And um, the other thing that I might charge a little bit more for is if the vehicle's really dirty. So I usually always try to, and I do a lot of trucks. So I try to encourage them to, run it through a car wash first or something, just so there's not all the mud and the dirt underneath and all of that. So if they do that, then they're staying within the regular budget as well.
I want to add, there's people mentioning about geographical area, and it's kind of crazy is you'd be surprised some of the areas that I've made some money.
Mm-hmm.
It's about educating the customer, and it's about the value you're bringing.
Yeah.
I've done $3,000 details on like Honda Accords in San Bernardino.
Mm-hmm.
But this person valued their car highly. They have done a ton of work to it. They wanted it, to look amazing, and they saw the value in it.
Mm-hmm.
I've also done $500 wash clay sole on a Ferrari in Rancho Cucamonga, a very affluent area. Person didn't value their Ferrari as much. They just wanted to put the minimum protection on it because they're leasing it, or they're they're not going to keep it forever. So with don't judge. It's hard as detailers, we judge people, right? We're already judging about Priuses and stuff because Prius owners are Prius owners. But you can't just judge the area. You kind of have to let people be themselves and tell you, and then you get to be the salesman. And the Ferrari owner, I couldn't sell any higher. Actually, I offered the Honda Civic owner a way lower package, and they wanted more.
Yeah.
So I just don't want people to make the excuse that it's my area. Yeah, there's better areas than others for sure. Scottsdale, Arizona, and Hollywood, California, Orange County are pretty nice areas. You'll make some big money there.
Yeah.
I can still do some great work and make good money, and actually maybe even make more money per hour than others if you plan it right and you're a good business owner. So don't use that as an excuse or a crutch. Just use it as kind of a benchmark to see where you're at, and see, like I said, what kind of detailer do you want to be? Do you want to be the guy that shows up and spends all day on their car and make the minimum, or do you want to show up and spend, bring a crew and dial it in and be an artist and make more money? Whatever it is, you got to make that decision for your business. Be different or do what everyone else is doing. Yeah, there's a lot of thoughts here, but I appreciate you joining us, Abraham. Good questions.
Yes.
All right, Chris.
I'm working on it. I lost the next one. Here it is. Found it.
This is a good question too. I love this. Hans, what was the first PNS product that you used? Kyle, yours is probably totally different than mine.
Wow. I gotta think back. That could be a number of things.
It was probably a while ago, right?
Yeah.
Was it before the double black line came out?
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, man. I don't know if I can remember what the first one is. It's kind of a blur. I can tell you that I was detailing some buses, school buses, and I was using another product from another brand, and I called up Bob Phillips and said, hey, what do you have that'll work great on fiberglass? And he sent me a product that eventually became Kyle's Boat and RV Store. And that's probably one of the first ones, and that was like 7 years ago. I wanted to switch over to PNS. I remember playing with Bead Maker before it was Bead Maker. It was never Bead Maker before it, had the name and the look and all that as it did, like the first version. And a long time before that, I used other products from PNS, but I can't remember. Like, not like I can my Mark V days.
Yeah.
That's the first product line I ever used when I was 13 years old. So,
That's funny.
uh,
That's funny. So mine was Bead Maker, of course.
yeah, probably.
So back in what was that, 2018 or probably early 2018? At that point I was getting all of my products from the rag company and they had just brought in Bead Maker. So they started with just Bead Maker. And so, I very clearly remember the day that I walked in and Levi said, "Hey, we have this new spray. I want you to try it. Here's what you do with it." And I was like, "Okay." And, I thought it was great. And then over the next couple weeks, they brought in a couple more of the double black line. And so, obviously Bead Maker is the easy answer that was my first one. So if I go to my second one, it was actually Terminator. And so I remember, you know, that was kind of my thing where I was like, man, these products are good, because I loved Bead Maker, obviously. But I think, at that point I had tried a lot of different lines and, I kind of felt like, well, every line kind of has one or two that's great. Um, and so then I tried the Terminator, and this was before they brought in Carpet Bomber. So I was just using Terminator. And I thought just that by itself was so amazing. I had no idea what was waiting behind it with the Carpet Bomber and the finisher. But I mean, I remember thinking Terminator was so great. I still do. But so that was the second product that I had tried, with obviously Bead Maker being the first, obviously.
I remember probably paint gloss is what it was for me. Because this memory stands out. I remember going up to Rennie's shop and doing some, I don't know if I was interning or something. It was around the time that Bob and Rennie and them connected. And we used to use a product called Polly's as a quick detailer. And it was like paint gloss. And I remember Rennie handing me this new stuff and saying, "Hey, try this. Let's clay this car." And, clay towels were still kind of new then. It was, just coming out with the discs and stuff. This is a long time ago. I mean, I trained with Rennie in 2013. So it was probably 2014, 2015-ish. And yeah, maybe I think it was paint gloss because that just stands out, me using it in the shop at an early step before it even was double black.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
That's
that
funny.
and there we have some good stories.
Yeah.
Of the conception of being around when double black was developed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool. And then Chris said Rennie's first one was Epic waterless wash. That's awesome.
Oh, okay.
When he was doing airplanes. Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I remember seeing Justin Labato and Bob Phillips when we were polishing on the Concorde. We were all working together. Then they went over to Air Force One and they were polishing the nose of Air Force One, and they used chapstick. They put it on a pad, put chapstick on a pad, and polished it.
So
and
funny.
Because it needed moisture, and it was sponsored by a different brand then. Before PNS got involved with the Air Force One project. That was cool stories. Thanks for the question.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark, way back.
I love this. So Tony says, I have detail customers interested in maintenance plans. So once they get a coating and have been fully detailed, what do you do for maintenance? This is a good question. So I focus on this a lot, obviously, because my customers, live near me. So I always recommend that they do the maintenance at least once a year. And I just let them know. I mean, I just say right off the bat, like when you're due for your interior detail, we'll add on your ceramic maintenance. And I just say it just like that, because then I'm giving the expectation that we still have to keep up on their interiors, right? So just because the exterior is coated doesn't mean that now we don't have to ever worry about the interior again. So I just let them know that, at least once a year, we need to get on the ceramic maintenance, and we'll just add that on to the interior detail. And then if I have customers that do their interior every 6 months, then I just let them know, on that appointment, we just do a ceramic wash, and do your interior detail. And then at least once a year, we do that clay and bead maker for the full maintenance on the ceramic. So I just do it like that. I do have some customers that we end up doing the ceramic maintenance twice a year. Maybe if I have like a farmer or a construction vehicle or something like that, then I recommend that we do the ceramic maintenance twice a year. So, yeah. But I don't do
use
maintenance washes though. So if we're talking washes, I don't do that.
I have a maintenance package, a ceramic coating maintenance package: wash, clay, inspect the coating, bead maker. And that way I can tell them, when it's time to recoat sections. We just did that on an RV this week where everything was doing great except the front cap. So I sold the customer on doing the front cap, but I use a detailing software that I can plug in my maintenance stuff, so I know when to call the customer, because I can't keep all that stuff straight anymore. That's how I do that. And Tommy, I appreciate it. I knew you weren't putting down areas. I just wanted to bring up an interesting fact about just how things can be different, from one neighborhood to another. Even though you may be in the high end areas, they may not be spending money like maybe the blue collar workers do, our areas. It's just something I've learned over time.
Yep.
Let's go to the next one.
All right. So
I need a little more information on this one, but
okay. So I have Stevie B says I have a Porsche Turbo S. Can I apply 3M then use Legend on top?
Probably talking about PPF.
PPF.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can put 3M vinyl or whatever you want and put Legend on top of it.
Yep.
Works fine. Just don't do the opposite way, or the PPF's not going to stick.
Right. Yeah. I had that funny small story. I have two small stories about Mini Coopers. So I had Legend on my Mini Cooper and needed to put my factory stripes back on. And I was like, no, they're going to go on fine. Like, I'm looking at them like they're crazy. Like, no, they're going to stick fine. So I actually texted Chris and I said, do I have to take this Legend off or do I have to abrade the surface? And he said, yes, of course. And so when I took it in, it was so funny because they were like feeling it and they're like, yeah, there's nothing sticking to this. So it was super funny. But, so yes, absolutely. You can do this. And I know that vinyl and PPF are a little bit different, but kind of the same idea, right? But I am actually heading to the rag company as soon as we're done here to put Legend on top of a fully wrapped vinyl Mini Cooper that's very pocket size. It's much smaller than Chris and I's Mini Coopers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that'll be fun. So we're making a video with it. So that'll be fun.
That's cool.
Oh, you better send some pictures.
I will. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun.
I once had a customer with a G-Wagon that we ceramic coated. And I told her, if you decide to do PPF, we're going to have to remove all this. And months later, she decided to do PPF and it wouldn't stick.
Yeah.
Every time the guy that washes her cars for her did, it would fall off because he would hit it with a pressure washer. So
Gosh, that's funny.
I told her we had to go buff it all off and have it reinstalled. And G-Wagons are a lot of work.
Yeah, that's great.
Hey, there's Alex. Hey, dude, how are you?
Hey, Alex. Awesome. Okay, so if we want to go back to Tony, he kind of has a follow-up question to his maintenance question. Should we attack that?
Yeah.
So for Tony's maintenance people, he has people wanting monthly or less. So I'm assuming he's talking washes. Where do you draw the line between what is maintenance and what is part of a full detail? If I need the steamer, it seems like a detail to me. So I do face this a lot. So I don't do maintenance washes, but my daughter does. So my daughter took over my wash business about a year ago. So she does service a lot of my coating clients and she does just general washes. So she washes the vehicle, does the whole outside, does tire shine, all that kind of good stuff. And then on the inside, they just get vacuum and windows. And, obviously a lot of times we'll, dust the dashboard and kind of, clean some stuff up a little bit. But even on those customers, a lot of those customers are ones that I still have on a schedule of, okay, and I let them know, like, we still are going to need every 6 months or 1 year we still need to do the interior. So regardless how many times they come in and see Delaney, I still schedule them for me for a full detail. So I think that if you have somebody that's kind of messy, just make sure you draw your line on, okay, in the maintenance washes, it literally is just vacuuming and windows, and don't ever touch anything else. You can kind of gauge your customer on that, but I just let them know, like, we're still doing, this. And I've had customers that if they've, come in for 5 months on washes, and then I know we're getting towards that and they call for a wash, I say, you know what, you're actually due for a detail. Would you like to do that at this time? And 95% of the time they're like, oh yeah, of course. That goes back to the expectation and, education with your customers. So, and I would just explain to them, I'm happy to do monthly washes. Here's what's included in that, but we're still going to need to do the, however often you suggest their interiors be done, and then let them know that the coating maintenance still has to be done, somewhere between that 12 and 18-month area. So if they're doing washes regularly, I kind of try to stick to that 12 months, just so that we stay on a good schedule. And then, I'll let people go up to 18 months if I feel like they're fine. So
I would say how you draw the line is you have your bullet pointed items that are
Mhm.
included, nothing more, nothing less, and
Yeah.
you stick to it. And anything more than that, you tell the customer, hey, look, I found this, I found that. Would you like to upgrade to our next package? But don't just do it for free, and make sure you're making your hourly rate, especially because it seems like you're probably mobile. Mobile actually should be making.
I think Tony works like I do. I think he's home.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure.
Well, if that in that case, you can kick them out the door and bring the next one in.
Yeah.
If you have them lined up. But yeah, stick to your bullet pointed.
Yeah.
Nothing more, nothing less.
Yep.
Otherwise, doing this becomes doing that, becomes just snowballs. So
Yep.
let's take a last couple questions because I got to get going.
Yeah. All right. So Gary says, I just coated my car with Legend. I didn't use the whole bottle. How long will the open bottle last? A good amount of time. Just make sure the cap is screwed on really tight. And then the biggest thing with Legend is just consistent temperature, honestly. You just don't want it where you're going super high, super low. So if you have it out in your garage, if you live in a hot area, I would just bring it inside the house somewhere, put it in a cabinet in the bathroom. It's going to last a good amount of time. The biggest factor is just temperature consistency.
With Legend, I feel like you have weeks to get something else coated before the edges start to crystallize on the, even with the cap on. You have some time there to use it on another vehicle, or whether you want to put a second coat on that vehicle. I don't know if this is your own. It's my car with Legend. So
yeah.
Coat another car with it, finish the bottle up, or put another coat on it. But it's not going to last 6 months. It's not going to last you a year. I just wouldn't let it sit forever. It's pretty high in solids, where I think View and Inspiration Classic and Soul will last a lot longer. I've had Soul used bottle for 6 months.
Yeah, and if you want to try to help it, you could also try to clean off that neck of the bottle. Maybe use some paint prep or something and try to get all those crystals off of there so that the top kind of seals a little bit better. And I think you'll be good. And like I say, just, put it in a dark, cool area. Doesn't necessarily need to be in the fridge, but, try to keep it out of ranging temperatures, and you'll get a lot longer. So Sam, let me go to this question real quick. So Golden Gate North just says, put it in the fridge and myth. So this comes up a lot. So I just want to address this really fast since we were just on this. It doesn't hurt the coatings to put them in a fridge, but it's not always necessary. I used to always keep mine in a fridge, but I kept it. It was not super cold. And the only reason I did that was because my garage is temperature up and down. So I did have a special fridge for all of my touch-up paint and coatings, but it doesn't have to be in the fridge. It's not necessarily a myth. It's just not necessary if you have consistency and not, so it's not necessarily a myth, but it's also not necessary. So
I guess I need to be kept in a fridge because I'm so hot. So
Yeah.
thanks, Richard.
That's question of the day right there.
Kyle available for
I
coffee.
mean,
So fun
that
fact,
question
Kyle
is so
doesn't
much
drink
better
coffee.
than anything William Lara has ever said. So that's, usually he's dogging on me.
Yeah. That's funny. All right. So Sam, so back to the boat coatings. And I did see your message earlier about wanting to talk about babes. So we can certainly talk about that. Maybe we'll focus on that one on the next one. But so boat coatings. So most boats
It's
can
out.
use a lot of the different coatings. We do have I believe it's out, right? The babes.
Yeah, the babes coating is out.
Yeah. So babes line does have a coating. So it's new, it's brand new. And we don't generally babes doesn't come over onto the detail side, so that's why you don't see a lot of it. But make sure you follow Babes Boat Care on Instagram and Facebook. So there is a boat coating through Babes, and but then a lot of the coatings do great on gel coat. And Kyle uses Inspiration and Soul. They all work great. Soul I would still use as a topper, don't you feel? Yeah.
Soul. I don't think you're going to get much out of Soul on a boat. Not even a season, just because the abrasion, the water usage, and the moisture.
Yeah.
But putting a couple layers of Inspiration or Inspiration topped with Soul would be great. Legend for sure with topped with Soul would be amazing.
Yeah.
But just know that if you coat the bottom of the boat, it's not going to last. People ask you to do it, and that's okay. Charge for it. But the really down to the water line, the edges, doing the transom, be careful. Don't do anywhere where someone's going to sit. They will slide right off. It will be super slick. So, Babes has 2 coatings in its line, a pro and a DIY coating. And it's not something we really talk about because we're not the Babes team. There's another team for that. So, but we do have a great line there. All right, guys.
Am I wrong? Is Babes kind of a separate company?
Babes
it is, yeah.
Technically?
Yeah. Babes, it's not within the family of brands of P&S from how I understand. It is a separate company. Even though it's owned by the owners and family, and Babe is their aunt, the lady on the bottle, which is pretty cool. And it's been around a long time.
Very last one. I'm gonna respond to Rick real quick on this.
Yeah.
And bottom line, Rick, just reach out to me and or Keith, but might as well just be me in this case.
Yeah.
So I'll help you.
Chris has the marketing stuff for Park and Shine. P&S stands for Park and Shine. So we can do that anytime. All right, guys. Well, this was a great volley of questions coming at us. Some really great questions. We'll be back on in a couple weeks. And then
we actually, next time we will be live from Kentucky, you and I.
Shoot, in 2 weeks. Dang.
Yep.
Yeah, we're doing this live probably from a hotel room or a lobby or something.
Yep, we'll be waiting to get on our flight. So we will be live from Kentucky next time, and make sure you watch for Rennie and Bob's adventures in the UK. And that will be, I can't believe that's 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, you just scared the crap out of me. All right.
That's crazy. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. You guys have a great week. We will talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.